Hello everyone, Elite Trainer Kenway here. As you well know, today is Sunday, January 23rd, so that means a new Pokemon video. I don't know if we've grown in subscribers since last Sunday because I'm finally getting ahead of the upload schedule and working on the script before Sunday. Our TikTok channel, however, has eclipsed 700 followers this week, so that's a huge achievement. Now, if only we could move some of those followers over here. Anyway, as you may have noticed, my voice might be a little bit different today. As any struggling new content creator, I'm trying out different things to try to find my voice behind the camera. So what's this video about? I promise you it wouldn't be a theory video like the last 2 weeks, and I managed to keep my theory brain at bay for a week and go on to something different. Well, not really different since every Pokemon YouTuber has done this, but different for me, different for this channel. I want to present to you, my audience, a list of ways Game Freak can make Generation 9 the most dynamic and awe-inspiring main series game in the entire franchise. I've got never-before-seen features they should introduce. I've got features they should get rid of. I've got old features that should be reintroduced. Let's get started with features that should be dropped, since of course we've got to save the clickbaity stuff for the end of the video. So right off the bat, let's address the Caparaja in the room. Get rid of Dynamax and Gigantamax for Generation 9. Now don't get me wrong, I love Gigantamax, but the only way it would make sense to keep Dynamaxing is if Gen 9 was set in Europe. And I just don't see that happening. We've got strong hints and predictions that Generation 9 will be set in either Italy or India. And according to the lore for Pokemon Sword and Shield, Pokemon can only Dynamax near those hotspots in Galar, so that's an easy one to debunk. Although I would absolutely love to see Leon show up in Generation 9 and start waving his Pokeball around mid-battle, getting all confused as to why Charizard can't Gigantamax. Second thing to get rid of is chasing down old Legendaries. Look, I know this is going to be a hot take because most of you love Mewtwo, Rayquaza, Lugia, Ho-Oh, and the like. And hey, I'm in that camp too. Mewtwo has been one of my favorite Pokemon since I caught him in the Cerulean Cave all the way back in 1998. And even more so since he added the Aura Sphere to his arsenal in the later games. But the games have got to start adding more endgame content besides, here's a cave where you can catch all the Legendaries from around the world. Now, I can already hear you saying, but what about the Legendaries I caught in Sword and Shield and BDSP? I want to bring them to Generation 9 with me as well. To that, I say it's simple. Lock all Generation 1 through 8 Legendaries behind the Pokedex. And that brings me to my next feature I would want to bring from Generation 8. Well, not Sword and Shield Generation 8, but BDSP. Lock all the older Pokemon behind the regional decks. The Pokedex Certificate and Shiny Charms are nice, but the real reward from capturing all the Pokemon from your home region should be the ability to bring Pokemon from all over the world into your region. As much as I love bringing my Charmander on my playthrough Shield, I absolutely love that BDSP made it harder to bring in old Pokemon before the post-game. Because I'll be honest, I didn't play through the Generation 4 games or the Generation 5 games when they first came out on the DS. I played them years later on an emulator. So I didn't really get a chance to fall in love with the Pokemon from the Sinnoh and Unova regions. So for me, Brilliant Diamond was a refreshing experience that allowed me to use Pokemon that I'd never used before, like Luxray, Garchomp, Infernape, and Spiritomb. I fully support the idea of letting players get to know the Pokemon in the new region before bringing in their old favorites. That's what I did in Pokemon Shield, and I ended up falling in love with Dragapult, Hatterene, Low-Key Toxtricity, and Inteleon. I didn't, however, do that in my first playthrough in Pokemon Sun. Instead, I brought Pokemon from Generation 6 over to Generation 7 for my first experience through Alola, and my first experience in the Alola region greatly suffered for it. I felt like I didn't give myself the chance to learn to love those Pokemon in that region, and I was at fault for that. Now let's switch gears for a moment and go back to talking about Legendaries, because as I mentioned earlier, going into a singular cave and meeting all the Legendaries just completely breaks down any source of immersion that you may have while playing Pokemon. So how can we get those pesky Generation 1 through 8 Legendaries into the game without something like Ramanas Park or Dynamax Adventure Cave? Well, the answer to that question kind of fuses a feature from Sword and Shield with a feature we haven't seen since Generation 2 and 4 when we played the Johto games. And that is the idea of mixing version exclusives with a new post-game region. Well, a new old post-game region. Now, I know what you're thinking, and no, this isn't going to be some crazy idea like, let's have all 9 regions in a single game, because I don't think that would be possible on the Switch without using a massive amount of storage space. I do, however, think that people are getting a bit tired of essentially having 2 versions of an identical game, with BDSP being the pinnacle of that frustration, where they literally had the exact same game but with one small coding difference. and it would seem as though Game Freak already knows this. With Generation 8, they allowed you a few small differences between Sword and Shield versions, most notably having Bee and Gordy as the heads of their gyms in Pokemon Sword, and Melody and Alistair as the heads of their gyms in Shield. But what I'm proposing here is something even wilder than that, something even bigger. I'm proposing that both Generation 9 games start out in the same region, but give you two different post-game regions to explore. What do I mean by that? Well, imagine if you bought Pokemon Shield and your best friend bought Pokemon Sword, and you got together one day after you both had completed the games, and you were telling them how after you beat Leon and captured Zamazenta in Shield, you got an invitation from Professor Oak to travel to Johto to compete in the first ever World Tournament of Champions, pitting you against the champions of various regions around the world. This would lead you to explore the entire region of Johto as you prepare for the tournament, only for your friend to respond by saying, "Now wait a minute, when I beat Leon and caught Zacian and Sword, I got an invitation also, but my invitation was from Professor Sycamore for me to visit the Kalos region for the tournament instead." That's what I'm talking about here, guys. Two functionally different Pokemon games for the first time ever, with real differences that would actually matter outside of trade exclusives. They could even work in small appearances from your favorite gym leaders from all over the world in the stands. Being able to essentially visit two different regions after your Generation 9 adventure would give fans a real reason to pick up two copies of the game. It would be amazing, especially if we got a chance to see Johto and Kalos on the Switch, or Hoenn and Unova on the Switch, but not Kanto. We've seen enough of Kanto. But hold on, I already hear you say. You'd still have to play through the same core game twice, just with an alternate post game. Well, actually, no, you wouldn't, because that brings me to my first big shiny new feature for Generation 9, the freedom to choose the order at which you fight the gyms. Think about it. If you have 8 gym badges to obtain, and you have the freedom to face them in any order you choose, you essentially would have over 40,000 different combinations for how you choose to progress through your game, meaning that you can have a different experience each time. But how would that even work from an in-universe perspective? Would you be going up to the weakest gym in the entire region with a team of 6 high-level Pokemon and thrash his level 12 Pokemon? Of course not! And the spin-off anime Pokemon Origins has already solved that problem for us in a fantastic way. In Pokemon Origins, we see Brock ask Red how many badges he has. Red says none. Brock goes back to the Wallace gym while he has a full team of 6 Pokeballs and grabs his 2 weakest Pokemon, Geodude and Onix, to challenge Red. And that kind of does make sense, doesn't it? Looking from an in-universe perspective, why would someone who lives halfway across the region travel 5 or 6 towns over just to start their gym journey at the southwest corner of the region? They wouldn't. They would battle gym leaders as they come across them from town to town. So why shouldn't we be able to do that? Heck, you can already skip gyms in all 3 iterations of the Kanto games and fight them out of order. So why not make it official? I mean, it's not like the Guard of the Elite Four is going to call up the gyms and make sure you got them in the correct order. That would give you true freedom to travel across the region as if you were in a real, living, breathing region rather than a set of levels in a video game. This would also give you the freedom to plan your gym battles around your team. If your closest gym is a fire gym, but you don't have any water-type Pokemon that can fight it, skip that gym and come back to it once you found a lake to go fishing in. But how would the games be able to hit their story beats, you may asking, if you're halfway across the map? You've had a phone in every game since Generation 2, and the ability to fly in every generation of the game. So simply tie the in-game events to the amount of badges you have, rather than what badges you have, and let the professor or whoever needs to call you up and say, "Hey, I need you to fly over to this town." And what about the wild Pokemon in high-level areas? Well, look at the wild area in Pokemon Sword and Shield. We've already had access to high-level Pokemon in the wild area early on in the game, and what did we do? We just learned to avoid them. So it's already been proven that you can go to high-level areas and just avoid those Pokemon until you have the necessary gym badges to challenge them. And with over 1,800 words of the script already behind me, I hope you're all buckled into your seatbelts because we're about to take a hard swerve left into unexplored Pokemon territory. Pretty much everything you've heard up until this point has been explored by someone else on this platform, but here's the real change that no one has ever talked about before today. I propose that Game Freak lock all TMs behind the post game and let your Pokemon actually be intelligent creatures that learn moves organically. Now hold on, get your fingers off the keyboard. I see you. Hey, I see you. Get your fingers off the keyboard and don't post that nasty response just yet. Just hear me out. Let's take my personal favorite Pokemon, Charizard, for example. Through normal leveling up, Charizard in every game learns some combination of fire type moves, flying moves, 1 or 2 dragon moves, and normal type moves. Through TMs and TRs, however, Charizard can learn ground moves, fighting moves, rock moves, electric moves, poison moves, psychic moves like Rest, and even Solar Beam. Through TMs and TRs, Charizard can easily hold its own in just about any fight, even with water-type Pokemon. But you guys don't want it to be that easy, right? You guys want strategy, right? Enter Intelligent Pokemon. Just imagine a game where your Charmander learned all the fire and flying and normal type moves it was going to learn anyway, but there are no TMs around to teach it Solar Beam or Thunder Punch. How would it defend itself against a Gyarados or Gigalith? I'll tell you, by watching its battle partner use Solar Beam. What if there were a system in place where Charizard had certain hidden moves it could learn simply by battling at or alongside other Pokemon and watching those Pokemon use those moves? What I'm proposing is a radical new idea, where Charizard would need to be exposed to Solar Beam a certain number of times before it asks you if it can try out the move to try to learn it. Let's say you wanted to teach Solar Beam to Charizard. You need to rack up 10 Solar Beam points for your Charizard in order to teach it to them. Let's say you're in a double battle with your Charizard and your Venusaur, and your Charizard sees your Venusaur get a super effective hit with a Solar Beam. That would rack up 5 points. In the next 2 battles, Charizard sees Venusaur hit 2 more Solar Beams, but they were just effective rather than super effective. Those would rack up 2 points each. Then, in the 3rd battle, your Charizard gets hit by an enemy's Solar Beam, giving him the last point he needed. At the end of that battle, Charizard looks to you, its trainer, and you read the message. Charizard refuses to go in its ball. Charizard wants to attempt to learn Solar Beam. You then can choose to enter another battle, and you see your regular 4 moves, but you also notice Solar Beam is listed as a 5th option, an unmastered move. You use Solar Beam in battle, but because it's unmastered, it only does 50% of the normal damage. Charizard would then hold on to Solar Beam as an unmastered move and need to use it 2 more times in order to master it, at which point you would then need to pick a move to forget. Under this system, a Pokemon could be learning up to 4 moves at a time, but only have 1 unmastered move at a time. Think about how cool that would be. For the first time in over 25 years and 8 generations of games, you would actually be able to literally teach your Pokemon different moves and watch it go through the trials of learning a new move to help it battle, rather than just clicking a button and popping a CD on its forehead and going, "Here, learn this." You want to talk about building bonds? That's how you build bonds. Watching your Lucario overcome the struggle to learn Shadow Ball because it wants to be the best fighter it can be for you. Do you want to build a true team of Pokemon? That's how you do it. Nothing says teamwork like having your Pokemon actually teaching each other new skills. This would bring an even more unique experience to the games. If you travel different routes, visiting different gyms in a different order, then not only would you meet different Pokemon, but your team would grow in a totally different way with each playthrough. And of course, because the metagame is all about efficiency, you get access to the TM shop and the battle tower at the very end of the game. The last thing I would want to implement is a sort of a tag on to the intelligent Pokemon thing. I would want to give your back of the party Pokemon a chance to assert themselves into battle. Meaning that if you're on the 5th consecutive battle with the same lead Pokemon, the 6th member of your team would now have a 25 to 40% chance of jumping out of the ball to assert itself into a fight, essentially telling you, "Hey, Lucario's had its fun, I want to turn it fighting." Under this idea, your Pokemon seem like living, breathing creatures who want to fight for you rather than you're making them fight. This would make them seem like living, breathing, intelligent creatures who are capable of observing the world around them, seeing how other Pokemon battle, seeing how you, their trainer, battle, see how different moves affect different ways. And these Pokemon would be able to tell you, "Hey, I want to battle. Even though you're not using me, even though I'm the lowest level Pokemon in your team, I want to battle. Please let me battle." So yeah, that's pretty much it. Here are the changes I think would make Generation 9 the best generation in the series. Did you notice how I didn't mention a full National Dex or updated graphics? I think these specific changes would honestly be a fair trade-off for the lack of sophisticated graphics. And as far as the full Dex goes, I believe that given the chance to really grow with a new team of Pokemon with the features I mentioned here, most players would be satisfied even if 100 to 200 Pokemon were cut. At almost 3,000 words, this is easily the longest essay I've written so far. Let me know how you guys like these longer, more informal videos. As always, I really appreciate all of you who are throwing your weight behind this channel, as well as our channel over on TikTok. If you haven't checked out our TikTok channel yet, go ahead and head over that way. We post every single day over there, as well as hosting some giveaways. Towards the end of April, we will be giving away 3 shiny Galarian birds, Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres on our TikTok. So definitely go check that out. That's it for this week, you guys. I think I've already held your ear too long. I hope you have a fantastic week, and thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys next Sunday.